Oral questions, questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians need hope. Hope for affordable groceries. Since this Prime Minister took office, he has promised to be judged by grocery store prices. Costs are rising twice as fast amongst the other G7 countries, and I asked the Prime Minister why. It's because of our weak dollar, he said, but he needs to protect it. Can the Prime Minister explain why he gave us a weak dollar and expensive groceries? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I would like to quote the Leader of the Opposition from 26. He invited his colleagues to turn this rhetoric into reality. We see obstruction right now. Canadians asked us to present a plan to grow the Canadian economy, Mr. Speaker, to protect Canada's sovereignty and to ensure that Canadian families, our seniors, the young people, have a promising future, Mr. Speaker. Can the Leader of the Opposition, will he support the government to pass our budget? Rather than quoting people, he, in 2023, said that he would stabilize grocery prices before Thanksgiving. Now, it's been more than 2 years, and grocery prices are rising twice as much. We have the worst food inflation amongst the other G7 countries, and this finance minister who caused these issues, he's still in power. Why does the Prime Minister continue with these taxes and inflationary deficits, and why is he depriving Canadians of affordable food? The Honourable Minister, Mr. Speaker, allow me to help the Leader of the Opposition. He wrote in 2026 that it's time to leave rhetoric aside and to look at the reality of the situation. I know that the Leader of the Opposition was very concerned about his own future at the time, but if he saw the measure we announced to ensure food stability, there'll be a benefit that will help families. There'll be $500 million to have more food, and more importantly, he has the opportunity to support the government to help Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Under this Liberal government and under that particular minister, auto production has fallen by half. And the Prime Minister was elected promising that he would protect the auto industry and get a deal with the U.S. by July 21st. He broke both of those promises, and since there have been job losses at Cami Ingersoll, GM Oshawa, Stellantis Brampton, and PACCAR au Québec. Mr. Speaker, today he finally flip-flopped on his cherished EV mandate, but is bringing in a new subsidy for people to buy American-made automobiles. Why is he forcing Canadian workers to pay taxes to subsidize American vehicles?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
I know it's Thursday, but I have good news for the Leader of the Opposition. I have very good news for him, and I have good news for Canadian. It's called the Canada Auto Strategy, Mr. Speaker. In fact, the Prime Minister of Canada today was standing up for Canadian workers, for Canadian industry, for the future of the industry in this country. They can yell as much as they want on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, but the workers know what we have done for them. They know what we're doing today and what we're going to do in the future. Mr. Speaker, we'll build Canada strong.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, that minister was in charge of industrial policies, the Minister of Industry, while automobile production fell in Canada by half. And now under this Prime Minister, we've lost 5,000 more auto jobs. Here's the deal that he's announced today. The American president will continue to tariff Canadian-made automobiles going into the U.S., while Canadian taxpayers will be forced to subsidize American vehicles coming back into Canada. Instead of subsidizing American vehicles and killing Canadian jobs, why not take our plan to take the GST off Canadian-made automobiles?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I will tell him that under my watch, for the first time in Canadian history, we brought a European manufacturer to invest in our country, Mr. Speaker. It's called Volkswagen. It's called St. Thomas. It's called the car of the future, Mr. Speaker. Volkswagen has invested a record amount in Canada, Mr. Speaker. They can yell as much as they want, but the people in St. Thomas know who did it. They know what we're doing today, and they know we're going to support our worker, our industry, and the auto sector in this country, Mr. Speaker. Let them continue to criticize.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he's literally yelling for us to stop yelling. This is an example of the Liberal illusion. The Prime Minister has put in charge of finance the industry minister who's responsible for auto production in Canada falling by half. Wow. And the present collapse of auto production and jobs in our country. Now, the Prime Minister broke his promise to negotiate a deal with the U.S., and now he wants to subsidize U.S.-made vehicles. Why not take taxes off Canadian-made vehicles so that we can bring home jobs to our country?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I don't need to speak loud because Canadians know what we did. If he wants to look at what we did under my watch, Mr. Speaker, let him talk about Windsor, Mr. Speaker, and about Nexstar. What we did, Mr. Speaker, is to see where the puck is going. That is truly Canadian. Making sure that we build the auto sector of today, but the auto sector of tomorrow, Mr. Speaker. We understood, and not even just Canadian, Bloomberg said that Canada would have the most complete supply chain when it comes to EV, Mr. Speaker. We are proud of our record. We are proud to invest in Canadian workers, and we'll build the industry of the future together.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Bloomberg just said that the economy in Canada is shrinking under that minister and this Prime Minister, but from failed economic Liberal policy to failed immigration Liberal policy, Liberals have unleashed an extortion crisis by allowing Bishnoi gangsters into our country without screening. Now, they are allowing them to stay here by even after they're convicted if they make a phony refugee claim. Conservatives moved a motion at committee to kick extortionists out of our country after they've been convicted. Liberals voted it down. Wow. Will they join with us, stop obstructing, pass an amendment to the law so that we can kick extortionists and fake refugee claimants out of Canada?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to extortion, the Conservatives have been uniquely unhelpful in advancing the laws that police are telling us they need to combat extortion. I received a message this morning from Patrick Brown, the Mayor of Brampton, saying that the Peel Regional Police have asked him to pass along the message that the Strong Borders Act is necessary to provide lawful access to help law enforcement break up extortion rings. Mr. Speaker, for months they have obstructed measures that were going to make bail and sentencing tougher on extortionists. It's one thing to stand up and make noise in the House of Commons. It's another to get the laws adopted. Let's do the job Canadians demand.
The Honourable Member for Berthier-Maskinongé. Mr. Speaker, some retirees have not received their old age pensions for 9 months. Civil servants warned the government last summer that this was due to Curam. But the Liberals didn't listen to the public servants. They gagged them. And the government's instructions to the civil servants was to absolutely not tell people that the delays or payment errors are because of Curam. Instead of attacking whistleblowers, why doesn't the government help retirees? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The department is doing everything it can to rapidly solve the issues. This includes enhancing training so that personnel is able to deal with requests faster. There are positive signs are showing that this training is paying off. Our bureau contacted the member across the way to see if they have any urgent cases, and I would ask them to contact me so we can respond. The Honourable Member for Berthier-Maskinongé. Mr. Speaker, there are seniors who are not receiving their old age pensions, and instead of helping them, the Liberals are trying to protect themselves. It's extremely worrisome because the same Curam system is experiencing problems with the payment of old age and also EI and the federal pension plan. By minimizing the problems instead of solving them, The Liberals are creating the perfect conditions for a storm that would make Phoenix look like a simple storm. When are they going to fix the problems instead of intimidating public servants? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Our government is protecting seniors. We are offering dental care, enhanced OAS, and lodging for seniors. We're modernizing the digital and benefit system. And I would ask the member across the way to give me the names of these people, and we will help them. The Honourable Member for Shefford. Mr. Speaker, quite frankly, one wonders if the minister reads French language media, because if she did, she would stop downplaying the problems of retirees who are not receiving their old age pensions. And if so, they would know that civil servants have resorted to acting as whistleblowers because they're so fed up with being silenced instead of being helped. Enough is enough. There are errors in pensions because of the Curum software. All civil servants are saying so, and the Liberals seem to be putting more energy into covering up the problem rather than solving it. When are they going to take action? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I do read French language medium, but I also work in English and in French, like many people in this House.
Mr. Speaker, we have focused all our resources on making sure that we get through the waiting list. Mr. Speaker, it is shrinking every day. I thank the civil service, by the way, for taking the effort to learn this system and learn it well. And as I mentioned, we've been in contact with these members of Parliament. If they have urgent cases, please send them to me. We haven't received any names yet.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
3 years ago, the Finance Minister promised to stabilize food prices, and he did, at record highs. Canada now has the worst food inflation in the G7, twice as high as when the Prime Minister took office and twice as high as the U.S. And now the Minister offers another temporary rebate that won't lower the price of a single item, while admitting his so-called historic summit that he got CEOs to come to Ottawa for was a failure. They voted against our common sense motion yesterday to lower food costs. Why won't they just take off the taxes off of food?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
The real question, Mr. Speaker, is why won't the Conservatives vote for the plan, the Prime Minister's plan, the Prime Minister's economic plan, the one that gets projects built quickly, that puts $1 trillion of investment into our economy, that uses Canadian lumber, Canadian steel, Canadian ingenuity, and the great union work of Canadian brothers and sisters to build our country strong? When, I just want a date from the Honourable Member, when will they pass the Budget Implementation Act, the Prime Minister's plan to build Canada?
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Speaker, my colleague knows that I'm talking about a grocery plan, but it doesn't actually lower the price of groceries. It's a $10 coupon on a $300 grocery bill, and it's insulting. And the rebate won't lower a single price. That's, of course, after they put forward a budget, which this wasn't even in. Meanwhile, they keep hiking the fuel taxes, the packaging taxes, driving food costs higher, and blaming everyone else and their decade of failure for it. Why won't they lower the prices? If they won't do that, why don't they take the taxes off of food?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, you know what's insulting to the constituents of Thornhill? When that member votes against the very things that they themselves are saying are useful. In fact, not just her constituents, but certainly the food banks in her riding would say that the announcement the Prime Minister made on the GST, on the essentials benefit, and on strengthening our food security, and on supporting food banks, and on supporting producers is exactly what we need to do for food security in this country. She needs to get on board and stop voting against the very constituents she represents.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Midnapore.
The Prime
Prime Minister is doing everything possible to ignore the reality that Canadians are facing in their daily lives. Food inflation in Canada is twice as high as it is in the United States, and the temporary measures that the Liberals are offering will not result in a single grocery price reduction. They had an opportunity to collaborate yesterday and pass our motion, which would have lowered prices at the grocery store, but they voted against it. Yep. Why is it that the Prime Minister's personal agenda always comes before the needs of everyday Canadians?
Good question.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, we have a Prime Minister with world-class business and economic experience. We've cut taxes for millions of Canadians, and just last week we announced a groceries and essentials benefit that will put up to $1,900 in the pockets of working families. The Conservative leader has never had a job in the economy. He continues to obstruct. He continues to talk rhetoric. It's time for that leader to get on board, help us build Canada strong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Calgary-Midnapore.
Well, this Prime Minister is traveling around the world and making big speeches, but what is he really achieving for Canadians? Food inflation is twice as high as when the Prime Minister took office, and Canada now leads the G7 in food inflation. The Prime Minister promised to be judged by the prices at the grocery store. Yesterday, Conservatives tried to help by presenting a real solution to lower grocery prices for Canadians, yet the Liberals voted against this common sense motion. So will the Prime Minister now eat his words because Canadians can't?
Wow.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, Mr. Speaker, what the Prime Minister is doing is creating investment in Canada, investment that has made it such that Canada created more jobs than the United States. Not more per capita, not more per capita, more jobs than the United States. This Prime Minister, I hope he keeps traveling and bringing home those jobs, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Mr. Speaker, Canada leads the G7 in food inflation. Prices are rising twice as fast as in the United States, and yesterday the Liberals voted against the Conservative plan to lower food costs. The industrial carbon tax is driving up costs for farm machinery, for fertilizers, and for food processors. When you tax the farmer, you tax every Canadian. When will the Liberals work with us to cut this unnecessary industrial carbon tax and the 17 cents a litre fuel standard tax that are driving up grocery prices?
The Honourable Minister for Veterans Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague from British Columbia is asking a question about something that's incredibly important to all Canadians. And you know what? This government has taken steps to address this. We are introducing the groceries and essentials benefit, which is going to put money in the pockets of families so that they can acquire the things that they need. A family of 4 will receive up to $1,890 this year and $1,400 for the next 4 years. We're taking action to support the families in BC.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg au Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, we know that since the Liberals have come to power, grocery prices are up, the cost of living is up, and for a single-parent family, it's harder for them to pay for rent. Can the Prime Minister confirm that all the members of the Cabinet agree with the idea of personally helping vulnerable people to have access to affordable housing? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, it's important to take account of the needs of our constituents, and the strategy we're adopting is one that's based on giving back purchasing power to Canadians. And that's essentially what we're focusing on. For us, it's important. But in this strategy, there are food strategies. There are also job creation strategies. And we also need the cooperation from the opposition, not obstruction. Thank you. Just to specify, I won't be voting personally. Well, the Honourable Member for Charlebourg au Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, I think my colleague across the way did not hear the news, but in the Journal de Montréal this morning, we learned that a single-parent mother is being kicked out of her housing, and she this member realize that she's showing a lack of empathy and morals.
L'honorable leader du gouvernement La Chambre.
Honorable Government House Leader, Mr. Speaker, I don't know if this has any relationship with anything to do with our government administration. The Honorable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals should never have cancelled the incentives for the purchase of EVs. So it's good news that they're being reinstated for vehicles manufactured here or in countries with which we have free trade agreements like Europe. But the problem is that the federal government is blocking affordable EVs from Europe. Ottawa has decided that these cars, which are good for everyone else on the planet, are not good enough for Canada. Will the government offer people a choice by allowing European electric cars?
Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the contrary, we welcome these EVs because our rebate applies as part of the free trade agreement, including that with Europe. So our auto strategy includes a lot of incentives to attract people to increase our future in electric vehicles in Canada. That's exactly what our policy is doing. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, reinstating incentives for the purchase of EVs is a small step forward, but it still doesn't erase the Liberals' setbacks and bringing EVs in. It won't lead to lasting mobility. They cut $5 billion from the public transit fund while subsidizing oil companies to the tune of tens of billions. They're also agreeing with Alberta to build a new dirty oil pipeline, even as they claim to be promoting electric transportation. Why is it that when it comes to the Liberals, they take one step forward but 1,000 steps backward?
Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate my colleague's question. But once again, it's the opposite. Our announcement today includes a national network for EVs with an investment of $1.5 billion. So this is a national project which includes Quebec to welcome this green future and EVs in our country.
The Honourable Member for Parry Sound Muskoka.
New home sales in the GTA have fallen to their lowest level in 45 years, putting 100,000 jobs at risk. Home ownership among 30 to 34-year-olds has dropped from 62% to 52%. Young Canadians are losing hope. 93% of Gen Z and millennials are worried about housing, and nearly half of them are planning to leave their home communities. The Prime Minister promised to help Canadians buy their first home. So after nearly a decade, why are sales collapsing, builders laying off workers, and ownership is getting further and further out of reach?
Good question. The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, it's a good day to be asking that question. We've introduced the Build Canada Homes Act this morning. Precisely, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that young Canadians have access to affordable housing going forward. We've dedicated $13 billion in the budget. We need the support of members in this House to pass that budget, to invest in young Canadians. We need the support. We don't need obstruction on the Build Canada Homes Act to make sure we have a lean, mean agency to deliver that funding to young Canadians. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Parry Sound Muskoka.
Well, I guess we shouldn't be surprised that the minister is talking about his Build Canada Rentals project, but home ownership is what's collapsing. In 2020, 69% of starts were for ownership. Today, it's 49%. New home sales are down 45% in the GTA, and builders are laying off workers. So it's a very simple question to the minister. Do you really, truly believe that creating a fourth federal housing bureaucracy without reducing taxes or fees or all the approval delays will really make it easier for Canadians to buy their first home?
Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm concerned that the member opposite doesn't care about renters. In my city, half of the population rents housing. And certainly we do not discriminate against those who choose to buy or rent. Many Canadians don't have a choice. That's why we have to make affordable housing options possible for all Canadians, make sure they have a safe home. We don't need any delays in this House to the budget or to the Build Canada Homes Act. We need to deliver affordable housing for Canadians. I hope the member will support us on our bill.
Honourable member for Flamborough, Glanbrook, Brant North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A new report from the Missing Middle Initiative warns of a lost decade for home ownership. For every 100 new adults, there will be only 12 housing starts intended for ownership. Nearly half of young Canadians say they've considered leaving their city or province because of housing costs. Now the market is seizing up. New home sales in the GTA have hit a 45-year low, putting 100,000 jobs at risk. Builders are laying off workers and fear they may not survive. When will the Liberals adopt our plan to get their bureaucracy out of the way so young Canadians can buy?
The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, it is critical that we build housing in the GTA that is affordable. We want to get the industry back building affordable housing for Canadians, certainly in the GTA, but across the country. We're seeing good housing starts in many cities across the country, but we're just getting started with affordability. And we need to deliver with members around this House on the Build Canada Homes Act. No obstruction. Let's get to building.
The Honourable Member for Brampton West.
Mr. Speaker, young Canadians are being locked out from home ownership. Home ownership is collapsing. For 30 to 34-year-olds, it fell from 60% to 52%. Supply is broken. For every 100 new adults, only 12 ownership homes are built. Sales are crashing, down 45% in the GTA, down 56% in Vancouver. Builders are laying off workers. 100,000 jobs are at risk. 93% of young Canadians are worried. When will the Liberals adopt our plans and get out of the way so young Canadians can buy their first home?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, we have good news for this House. Just today, we tabled the Build Canada Homes Act, and we are hopeful that the Conservatives will not obstruct this bill, as they've been doing with our budget that provides more affordability measures to Canadians so that they can have that dream of buying their first home, so that they can live in affordable housing. That is the dream of all Bramptonians. That is what I hear from my constituents, and this Act will help us meet those goals, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Red Deer.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal housing crisis is hitting communities of every size. The City of Red Deer has been asking for a meeting with the Housing Minister for months to address their housing concerns. And despite writing to him 4 times, it seems like Red Deer is too small for the Minister to care to respond. I sure hope Red Deer isn't being ignored because it doesn't deliver Liberal votes like Toronto and Vancouver. Will the Minister finally agree to sit down with the City of Red Deer and listen to their issues and admit that mid-sized cities are facing a housing crisis too?
The Honourable Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience.
Mr. Speaker, once again, Conservatives in Ottawa are out of step with Conservatives in Alberta. Alberta's Minister of Social Services has praised the pace of housing delivery, saying we're getting shovels in the ground and roofs over the head of Albertans. Thousands more low-income Albertans will have a safe, durable house, affordable house that they can count on. Federal Conservatives say they want to work with us, but they can't even work with their own Conservative colleagues on delivering housing for Albertans.
The Honourable Member for Mississauga East Cooksville.
Mr. Speaker, the auto sector is facing the biggest challenge in a generation. Unjustified and unjustifiable tariffs from the United States on our auto sector is leaving our auto workers under a cloud of uncertainty. Our government stands behind our auto sector, behind our communities, and the workers that are facing these new realities head-on. Can the Minister of Jobs and Families please tell this House how the newly announced auto strategy will transform Canada's auto industry, protecting our workers today and building the vehicles of tomorrow?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the Member of Parliament from Mississauga East Cooksville for his unwavering support for auto workers and the sector. Canada's auto workers and workers are the backbone of our economy, and when our auto sector workers come under attack, our government stands with them and protects them. So today, the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Industry announced Canada's new auto strategy, taking action on what we can control. We're investing $3 billion from the Strategic Response Fund to support the industry, $570 million to support reskilling and upskilling workers. Mr. Speaker, this is how you build Canada strong. We stand together when times are tough, and
The Honourable Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
This Liberal minister says that they stand with auto workers. What it looks like is they stand with Donald Trump, because while Donald Trump imposes 10% tariffs on every single vehicle that comes into Canada,
the member may start over. The member may start over. I didn't see anything unparliamentary in that. The honourable member for Dufferin-Caledon.
the Liberal minister just said that they stand with auto workers, but it sure looks like they stand with Donald Trump. Let me explain. While Donald Trump imposes 10% tariffs on every single vehicle that comes into Canada, these Liberals have passed an EV mandate that is actually going to give Canadian taxpayer dollars in the form of subsidies to American-made EVs. You actually can't make this up. Less than 5% of Canadian vehicles will qualify for this EV subsidy. Why are they contributing to Donald Trump's Buy American instead of preserving jobs in Canada?
The Honourable Minister, Secretary of State, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If that member and the party opposite thinks that we are on the wrong side of Canadian sovereignty, they've got another thing coming. Our approach is all about Canadian sovereignty. It's all about investing in the companies that invest in us. It's all about embracing the future of electrification. It's all about embracing our workers, who are the best workers in the world. And for the members opposite to talk down Canadian sovereignty or to talk down this sector at this moment of real challenge, when we've got an opportunity to solve it, is really beneath them.
The Honourable Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
Education for these Liberals, Mr. Speaker. Less than 5% of vehicles manufactured in Canada will qualify for this EV rebate. The rest will come from the United States and other foreign manufacturers. But imagine you're the auto worker in Brampton who was supposed to manufacture the Jeep Compass EV. That job went to the United States. That Jeep EV Compass being manufactured in the United States is actually going to be subsidized by your taxpayer dollars. If you are that auto worker in Brampton, you are looking at this Liberal government and how this is going to benefit Donald Trump and saying, what the hell is going on in Ottawa?
We just have to watch our language a little bit, though. We just have to watch our language. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary of the Minister of Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I'll tell you what the Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association has to say about today's announcement. We welcome the government's automotive strategy announced today. Funding to support renewed purchase incentives and a robust charging infrastructure strategy will help continue to drive EV adoption, and CVMA members are well positioned to support the shift to electrification through diverse product offerings. That sounds like Canadian sovereignty to me, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Northumberland, Clark.
Mr. Speaker, in 2014, under the then Conservative government, the New York Times declared that Canada's middle class was the richest in the world. Now our middle class faces skyrocketing costs and taxes and a stagnant GDP per capita and a declining standard of living. The Prime Minister promised the fastest growing G7 economy by building major projects. However, the major national project, they built none. And they continue to build none. The time to act is now. When will they collaborate with Conservatives and finally bring prosperity back to our great land?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, I have good news for my friend. Today, Trans Trans Mountain just said they will be increasing the amount of oil they transport by 10% on the first of 3 optimization projects. That's how we build Canada.
The honourable member for Northumberland Clark.
It always worries me when this government opens up, we have good news, because it rarely is. What we're asking for, what Canadians want, are new pipelines, new projects, and the amount that they've approved, absolutely zero. This government needs to reverse course that has led 2 million Canadians to food banks, admit that their policies have failed, embrace conservative principles fully, and collaborate with Conservatives to bring prosperity back to our country.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, they keep asking for pipelines. We just gave them one. We're building thousands of jobs in Darlington. We're building, they're not.
The Honourable Member for Niagara South.
Mr. Speaker, Bloomberg reports that Canada's economy is on life support. Canada's GDP growth was 0 in November. Productivity continues to fall, and the Bank of Canada expects that just 1% growth next year, with business investment being postponed. How bad is it? Now, home builders in Niagara have laid off 60% of their framers due to stalled residential construction. The Prime Minister promised the fastest growing economy in the G7, yet growth is stalled. Will the Prime Minister please adopt Conservative ideas that remove barriers so Canadians can actually build and grow again?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, I know what constitutes good news for Canadians does not always constitute good news for Conservatives, Mr. Speaker. But let me give them another piece of good news. The first major national project this spring breaks ground. Le Port de Contrecoeur, une expansion de 60%, an exposed container port capacity, Mr. Speaker. We're going to build more stuff. We're going to put more stuff on boats. We're going to send more things to more places around the world, expand our trade, put people to work, and build Canada.
The Honourable Member for Barrie Springwater, Earl Medante.
Mr. Speaker, Canada made international headlines this week, with economists stating that our economy is on life support and the country is already on recession watch. Our per capita GDP is falling, residential construction is flat, businesses are postponing expansion, and this Liberal government's anti-development laws and taxes remain in place. Will the Prime Minister work with Conservatives and introduce a plan to remove the barriers that are preventing Canadians from building, investing, and working?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Speaker, speaking of building, we're building big. The Port of Montreal expansion project is 7,000 construction jobs and over 1,000 permanent jobs.
Amazing.
Darlington Nuclear is 18,000 good-paying jobs and clean power for generations. LNG Canada and BC mean thousands of jobs in Canadian energy reaching new global market, Mr. Speaker. That's cranes in the ground, paychecks in pockets, and Canada building big.
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister sells himself as a master of economics, yet Bloomberg reports that our economy is on life support. The Bank of Canada expects economic growth to shrink in the last quarter and only grow by 1.1% this year. Canadian workers want to build and produce, but the government is holding them back with their anti-development laws and high taxes. The Prime Minister promised the fastest growing economy in the G7, yet he hasn't delivered, and Canadians are paying the price. When will he listen to our ideas and introduce a plan that gets his government's barriers and tax burdens out of the way so Canadians can build?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Northern and Rural Development.
For 10 long years, the Conservative from Saskatchewan said Canada was broken.
Yes, sir.
They have stifled the opportunity that Saskatchewan had in potash and uranium, oil and gas, Mr. Speaker, and the list goes on. Well, Saskatchewan's on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, it is.
We're going to work hand in hand with Saskatchewan, join the rest of the country, and build a great future. This is about economic and social justice for Saskatchewan. We are going to deliver that, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Yellowhead.
Mr. Speaker, according to Bloomberg, Canada's economy is on life support, and we are now on recession watch. Growth has stagnated, and real GDP is expected to decline. Forestry and logging are down 2.8% for the third month. While the Prime Minister cannot deliver on his trade promises, sawmills in Yellowhead are paying the price. Since the Liberals love our ideas, why don't they remove the industrial carbon tax, fuel standards, and anti-development laws so Canadian businesses can succeed?
The Honourable Minister for Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, the contrast couldn't be more clear. We like to build, they like to block. We're building our auto sector with the new auto strategy. They're blocking. We're building affordable housing. They are blocking. We are investing in defense. They are blocking. We're making life more affordable for families with the GST tax credit. They are blocking. We like to build. They like to block. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Sudbury East, Manitoulin-Nickelbelt.
Write him up, Jim. Mr. Speaker, the latest data from Rosenberg Research is deeply concerning. Manufacturing output is down, forestry has declined for 3 consecutive months, and paper mills in Northern Ontario are closing. The Prime Minister promised the fastest growing economy in the G7. Instead, his government has failed to remove a single anti-development policy. When will this government adopt our plan to restore economic growth by reducing red tape, lowering taxes, and allowing Canadians to invest, work, and build?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, as the former Premier of Alberta said, you can't deal with the reality of the tariff threat by pretending it's not there. But the Conservatives would rather obstruct. We have $2.5 billion allocated in Budget 2025 to attack this problem. Please support the budget.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton Mountain.
Speaker, we recently hit 100 days since Build Canada Homes was launched, and we're already seeing real momentum on the ground.
Wow.
Projects are moving faster, partnerships are coming together, and communities are seeing concrete progress on affordable housing. Would the Minister for Housing and Infrastructure please update this House on all we've accomplished and what more there is to come?
What a great
Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A big thanks to the member for the question and her great work. We have got right to work with Build Canada Homes, Mr. Speaker. Since the launch, we've been signing major partnerships with provinces and cities. We have 6 major development sites on federal lands. We are delivering over 7,500 homes with over tens of thousands more in the pipeline right now, Mr. Speaker, with the Build Canada Homes Act, which is introduced this morning, which we expect the support of this House on. We're establishing a lean, efficient agency that is 100% focused on delivering affordable housing for Canadians. We ask for your support.
The Honourable Member for Richmond North Westka. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, we are seeing another Liberal IT fiasco. This system to administer old age security has gone from costing $1.75 billion to $6.5 billion. And even worse, 93% of civil servants are giving it a failing grade. Employees are being ordered to not criticize the software when they talk to the public. Mr. Speaker, how could this fiasco happen? What is the minister going to do about this software? Did the minister sign off on this irresponsible spending?
60-year-old system is not an easy task, and I want to start by thanking the employees at ESDC who are working so hard to make sure that seniors get their benefits on time and in accuracy. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, that's exactly what's happened. 98% of the cases are through, and I will say that we are working diligently on remaining outstanding cases where people have not yet received their benefits who have signed up to do so. If that member opposite has an urgent case, or any member of Parliament has an urgent case, we can accelerate those cases in situations where people are in dire need. Please contact my office.
The Honourable Member for Richmond North Westka. Mr. Speaker, departmental employees are telling us it's not working. Our seniors built our country and paid taxes their whole lives. And now some of them are waiting up to 8 months to get their money. I'll give you a concrete case. Mr. Martial Lavoie, in my writing, he's still waiting for his check. He actually delayed his retirement because at the time there was a labor shortage. So he kept working, and now that he's finally trying to retire, he can't get his money. Mr. Speaker, what would the minister say to Mr. Lavoie? He's listening right now.
De l'emploi et des familles.
We are happy to help any senior that finds themselves in dire needs. And as I said, we are making progress. This is a very small percentage of the over 7 million Canadians who have been successfully transferred to the CURM system. This system, Mr. Speaker, brings us into the modern age, what Canadians want. In fact, seniors can now apply online and have a fully automated process to get their benefits started. In these cases where things have been done in the old way with paper forms, often there is missing information. There may be other challenges. We have put additional resources to ensuring we get through those cases, and we can help members just like Mr. Lavoie.
L'honorable député de Lévis.
The honourable member for Lévis-Lobinière. Mr. Speaker, not only is this government stealing land from farmers, it is also closing agri-foods research centres, such as the Sainte-Foy Centre in the riding of the member for Louis Hébert, which is one of the 7 agri-foods research centres that the Liberals are arbitrarily closing. Canadian science and innovation is built in these centres, which help us be more productive. How can the Prime Minister justify his decision to prioritise consultants and foreign projects rather than our homegrown expertise that feeds Canadians?
Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It warms my heart that the Conservatives are now concerned about science and research.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm happy to reassure them that the federal government will continue the largest agriculture researcher in this country. In fact, just last month, Mr. Speaker, we invested $9.7 million with the government of Saskatchewan in science and research. We're not going anywhere. We still have 17 centres across the country. We're going to work with our stakeholders. We're going to work with academia, and we're going to make research better than it ever has been. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Nunavut.
In Rankin Inlet, the NDP caucus heard from one Inuk who shared that he has waited for 11 years for a house. There are 17 people in his 2-bedroom unit. His story is all too common in Nunavut. The government is acting on what I've told them. Nunavut will receive 50 more homes added to the 700 originally promised in the budget. This is a good start. Will the minister keep working with Nunavut to address the worst housing crisis in Canada?
You're here.
The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for her question. I'm very excited to share that the Government of Canada, the Government of Nunavut, and Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated reached an agreement to deliver up to 750 homes in the territory there. Build Canada Homes will lead this work using innovative factory-built components to get homes ready faster. We're prioritizing Canadian materials, we're supporting Inuit-owned businesses, and creating lots of job opportunities and training opportunities. This partnership will make a real difference on the ground. I thank her for her leadership and helping bring more homes to Nunavut that are much-needed affordable homes, and I encourage all.
The Honourable Member for North Island Powell River.
Good news, Mr. Speaker. Canada's energy regulator has rejected Brookfield's plans to send Canadian hydroelectricity to the United States with almost no benefit to the people who live here, and has instead recommended a full licensing process and review. But the final decision still rests with the Minister of Natural Resources. So will that minister commit to accepting the energy regulator's recommendations and ensuring that Canada's national interests always come first?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Let me reassure the member across the aisle that our government is working closely with the government of British Columbia to build an affordable, reliable and clean electricity grid that meets the significant surge in demand we are expecting in the years to come. As the member opposite said, this matter is currently before the Commission of the Canadian Energy Regulator, which makes its decisions independent of the federal government, in the best interests of Canada's ability to meet its domestic energy needs.
The honourable member for Nunavut.
The state of emergency in Cross Lake Pimicikamak is now over 40 days long. The Army came, made recommendations, and left. And where is the federal government? Still brainstorming solutions. Meanwhile, evacuees remain stranded in cities without adequate supports. When will Ottawa move past talking points, at a minimum implement the Army's recommendations, and uphold their constitutional responsibilities to support people returning to a safe home?
The Honourable Minister for Emergency Management and Community Resilience.
I can assure my friend across the aisle that emergency management, our department was in contact with that nation from the commencement of the power outage. We've worked, as has Indigenous Services Canada, to make sure that firstly we sent the Canadian Armed Forces, and secondly that there were sufficient people on the ground to help evacuate and provide benefits to the region. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As International Development Week comes to a close, I know I and many of my colleagues in this place have met with dozens of frontline workers from development organizations who are reeling from the broken promise. During the election, the Liberals promised, the Prime Minister said, quote unquote, we will not cut foreign assistance, we will not cut development assistance, and the budget showed a cut of $2.7 billion. We used to be known in the world. Lester B. Pearson, as former Prime Minister, set the global target for development assistance, and yet here we are falling through the cracks, not delivering. Will the Minister commit to reviving the Pearson target?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Speaker, we remain committed to our long-standing international assistance priorities. We will continue to fight poverty, to support gender equality, to strengthen health, food, and education systems, and build climate resilience. We will continue to deliver urgent humanitarian aid abroad. And Mr. Speaker, the measure of our work is in the partnerships we build to deliver development outcomes at scale. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That concludes question period.
Thursday question.